Yesterday late in the day, Donald Trump announced that he is immediately halting all federal grants and all federal loans. That's to take effect by 5 p.m. today. So it's pretty clear at this point that Donald Trump in his second term is at war with the federal government, which means that he is at war with the United States population. He does not care who these actions affect, including his own voters. His transaction with his own voters is complete. They voted him into a second term. There is nothing more that they can do to him. There is no further benefit that they can provide to him at this point. So he doesn't give a shit that this is going to, who or what this is going to impact. First of all, this is a blatant shot at the separation of powers. It's very clear in the Constitution, Article 1, Congress has the power of the purse. Congress controls spending, not the president. If the president disagrees with the Congress's budget, they can propose changes. But this is going to shut down. He is trying to effectively shut down all functions of the federal government in the executive branch. And this memo, this 2-page memo, pretty clearly was ghostwritten by a guy named Russell Vought, who is Trump's nominee to head Office of Management and Budget. Russ Vought headed Office of Management and Budget under Trump in his first term. Russell Vought also wrote Chapter 2 of Project 2025 on executive power and expanding executive power, and that's what this is. Russ Vought has had his confirmation hearings. He has not been confirmed yet. So it very much appears that he is improperly running an office that he has not been confirmed to yet. There were some tweets by a guy named Topher Spiro, who served as Associate Director of Healthcare Programs under Joe Biden, and he had some comments about this 2-page memo, which was written by a guy named Matthew Vaith, who is the acting director of OMB. Topher Spiro writes, "I have no doubt that OMB lawyers would believe this memo to be illegal. I know Matt Vaith. This memo reads like a hostage note written directly by Russ Vought, who is not confirmed. The memo calls for every agency to perform a comprehensive analysis, yada, yada, yada. This is cruel," Spiro writes, "a sampling of funding potentially affected in healthcare, all opioid prevention funding, all mental health funding, funding for community health centers, rural medical care, suicide prevention and the suicide hotline, HIV AIDS treatment, grants to the states to address bird flu." We just had to kill 20 million chickens because of bird flu. And there are human bird flu cases all across the country right now. There's 60 or 70 of them right now. Spiro believes that Russ Vought was exerting improper control. In sum, Russ Vought is illegally carrying out his ideological agenda with the greatest harm to the most vulnerable, including many in the working class and rural communities who voted for Trump. It is a massive fraud. Reporter Jamel Bowie works for the New York Times. He wrote, "We have never experienced anything like an administration trying to essentially freeze the activities of the entire federal government while making a series of illegal power grabs. It's genuinely unclear to me what kind of response, if any, these guys are generating against them." I will tell you exactly the response that Donald Trump wants to these kinds of actions. He wants there to be massive public protests against him and against the steps and the actions that he is taking so that he can declare martial law. He is daring us to protest the things that he is doing because he wants to declare martial law nationwide. And through that, he wants to take dictatorial, authoritarian power over the entire federal government and the United States. These steps are incredibly dangerous in that context. Incredibly dangerous. Because guys like Russ Vaught's a true believer, man. He is a white Christian nationalist. He is a true believer, and he is this close to being back in a position of power. He's already exerting control, allegedly, over OMB, and he hasn't even been confirmed yet. And he's fully on board with that game plan, with that structure. Engender absolutely massive nationwide protests, essentially shut down the federal government without a federal government shutdown from Congress, cut off everybody's funding for everything, leading into a pandemic, potentially, with bird flu. And when people start protesting, Donald Trump will declare martial law, and he will deploy United States military troops on American soil. He's already doing it at the southern border. It only took Hitler 53 days. This is incredibly dangerous shit. I'm not joking. I'm not being sarcastic. This is incredibly dangerous shit.